All right, everybody, welcome to Whispers from the Void. I am Evan.
God damn it. I had a pizza in my mouth. I'm Phil. VOX&HOPS for the Intimates. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Sorry, I have a pizza in my mouth. Look at my beautiful face.
Yeah. I was just, I just got done finalizing my top 5 for the VOX&HOPS review crew.
Yep.
Top 5 albums of the year.
Hell yeah, brother.
Fucking,
I did mine too.
That was a lot more painful. I left out a good album this year that I am kind of sad about. But whatever.
I left out
it.
a couple of albums that I love, but to be fair, it's like there is one that I was really surprised, and others that you fucking know what is my one.
I already know what your top album is.
You don't tell it.
We already talked about it. Oh,
I don't care. Keep it a secret.
You are never gonna know what my top 2 albums. So I lied.
Because
originally.
I know what was your top 1 on the mid-year. So is it the same one or is it 2 other? Holy shit. Okay, now I'm nervous.
I got 1 and 2 are new additions, and they are. This top is. I don't know how to say it.
Weird.
It's a good mixture.
Huh.
It's a good mixture, but there's definitely a theme.
Doom, black metal theme.
There's definitely a theme. Oh shit! You know what? I fucking forgot about another record.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
I mean, I have a couple albums that I left out. Like, I've listened to them one time, and then I was like, oh yeah, but like now it's coming back up, and like it's so good. But I'm just like, do I want it in my list? Also, my top 5, I said it's finalized. I lied. I think I will switch it up a little bit right now. Because like, I have one album that is basically on repeat. And I'm just like, shit, I cannot like, just not do it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's do the change right now. It's painful to do, but to be fair, I have my reason. And you will know why
So,
on 27th.
Opeth did not make it.
Me neither.
And I'm pretty sad about it. I'm not gonna lie. It's bumming
I'm
me out.
sad, and I'm not sad about it because I'll be fair, and it's already out, so we can talk about it. About the album. I mean, we didn't do a review and all, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about Opeth a little bit. They did something that a lot of people waited, which is putting back growls and harsh vocals. They went back on it, but there's like a lot of people love that album, and I think I saw no critique or no bad reviews about it. Mine is not a bad review, but it's something that I'm just a little bit like not happy about that album. Well, 2 things.
Yeah, keep going.
One thing, the growls is fun, but the music doesn't fit. The music doesn't fit, and I will explain why. It's because now with their new style, it was more prog 70s, prog 80s. It was more oldies and less like the Opeth like before, like the Watershed, like the Ghost Reveries, like the Blackwater Park or Damnation. Not Damnation, but Deliverance. Or the older like My Arms Your Hers. It was it's something else. But they decided to keep the new instrument, like the prog instrument, but they added the screams. And I think at first I was like, it fits, but when I was listening to it more and more and more, it was like, it feels odd a little bit for me. Just a little bit odd. The second thing, and it's more on a lyrical point of view, like, it's supposed to be a story about a guy, well, an old man dying, and they're reading his last will and testament, which is the name of the album. And I was not understanding anything about the lyrics. Like, maybe I should have just like read them, but I'm just like, I just felt nothing about the music about it. It's just like, for me, when you do a concept album and like a very conceptual album, you need that not only the lyrics tells the story, but also the music. The lyrics tell something, but the music didn't, in my opinion. Maybe I missed the point, maybe, but in my opinion, I didn't feel that the music was telling me a story. I was like, it's like if you read and you don't know how to read, or you don't know you don't know what you're reading. It was a little bit the same thing with the album. I was like, yeah, it's good, but tell me what is the story, man. I don't understand. So, and I know what is the story. Like, when I had the promos, they sent us a whole shit paper about, this is the story about the Will and Testament, what is going on about the album, blah, 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 blah. I understand, but I'm just like, I want to feel it in the music. I want to feel it in the lyrics. I want it to make sense. And it didn't make sense for me. So those are my two things about that album. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's just an opinion.
Where do I start? Where do I start?
You have like a big review planned on.
So before, I was I think you could probably say that I'm a very massive Doom guy, and that came from Opeth. That's where it started. Was my original love of Opeth. My original love of prog brought me into loving bands like Gojira, Opeth, Strapping Young Lad, all that. Dream Theater. That's where I started. And Blackwater Park was such a big album for me in like my listening career, you could quote unquote, whatever, in my younger years, because that was a record that blew doors for me as far as like how far you could go and take music and really like draw out a song and just give it life. Ghost Reveries was sort of the alternative to that, which was, you can do things as like a drawn out aspect, but make it heavy. And you could keep it heavy, and it can still, like, you can do things in songs to sort of make it have this I don't know, like this ever-presence effect as it's going on, even though tempos are changing and things are happening. Damnation showed me that you don't have to have all of the the glamour that comes with being a metal band, as far as like being able to do the screams and fast-paced guitars and breakdowns and all that other stuff. Not that they really were a big band for that anyway. Last Will and Testament is sort of Opeth's. It's sort of them just closing their own the chapter on what I feel like is probably it for them. And it sort of takes all elements of everything that they've done, ties it all nice up in a nice little knot, and then just fucking, just here you go. So to me, it speaks more from just the concept album that it's supposed to be, and more about like Åkerfeldt's overall, like musically, where he was ultimately wanting to be and go. And I feel like it's a really great listen. I do find that it has everything you would want in like a new age, like a new Opeth record. Like at times you could take different songs from that record and you could put them into the different albums between Gross Reveries, Damnation, Deliverance, Heritage, fucking, go down the line. Everything but the new stuff is pretty much, the last two records, I would say, is you could take this one and you could fit it into everything that happened, early 2000s, and then that's where it comes from. And I think that as an evolution, I don't think you're ever going to find an artist, a composer, and like quite like him ever. I think that's it. I know you think the world of Devin Townsend. But what I would argue is that Opeth, Michael, and those, like, they have been able to do something that I don't think a lot of people have been able to do, and that they've been able to take their fans on such a fucking wild ride, like hardcore, like actual metal fans, to the point where they were doing just strictly clean stuff. They were practically a pop rock band, and people still fucking loved them for what they were. And I think that this record just sort of sums up their careers, the band itself, and it just kind of shows, hey, they, you're dealing with something that's just like you don't get this from just any band. And it's because of that I don't find it captivating, I guess, because their discography sort of lays it all out there. I think that the growls, like, yeah, I think he's one of the best voices. Like, as far as like nostalgia goes, like, those early 2000s, like, yeah, he has one of the best voices, pronunciation, all of that. And I think that that's why people were so mad that he wasn't doing it, because he was so good at it. And, I just think that now it's sort of like you get satisfied, but you're kind of like, well, now what? And I think that there's nothing else that you're gonna, so what I did after listening to this record is I went back and I listened to Ghost Reveries, and I listened to Damnation, and then I listened back to this record, and then I went back to Blackwater Park, and it kind of just sort of sums it all up together as far as like, yeah, these guys are just, it's what they do. They're very, very good. But is it, like, for me, like, is it album of the year material? I mean, for some people it's going to be. Absolutely. Because that's the quality that they bring to the table. But in the vein of Opeth versus Opeth, no, it's not. It's not what Blackwater Park was when they first came out with that. It's not what Deliverance was. It wasn't like the groundbreaking, sort of earth-shattering, like, oh wow, they fucking pulled that off, like, kind of deal that you sort of grew to expect from them. And I just think that that's just one of the things that's missing on this record, is that one moment when you're listening to a song and you go, holy shit, they did that. And they did it so, like, you fucking have to go, that thing you got to go back and listen to, like, time and time after again to be like, experience that feeling, that lull in Blackwater Park where the whole thing just sort of like takes you through and fucking just brings you right back. It pulls you in, pushes you out, grabs you and brings you back in. Like that sort of Opeth feeling. And I just don't think it's there on this record, and so I couldn't actually put it through, man. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
It made me sad. I'm still sad about it, but it made me sad.
Okay, so there's one thing, a couple of things that I agree with you, a couple of things that I don't.
Okay,
and
here we go.
The first thing I don't agree is that you still do comparison between Opeth Last Will and Opeth before the prog era. For me, I feel that album is a continuance, but they are bringing back elements, because I think that the Opeth right now, the Last Will, is like, it's still in the prog vibe, but they were like, you know what? Now that we did 4 albums of pure proggy style, let's do it again, but with a twist. Let's do a watershed, because you never talk about watershed. Watershed is like, I think, the album that started, well, Heritage started everything, but I think Watershed is the album that put them on the top of the hill and began to just go downhill in the prog valley. So, and for me, Last Will is like they're climbing back up the hill to go back to something else. They are discovering another valley or another mountaintop or whatever. And yeah, and as I love both, like both aspects of Opeth. I love the calm, peaceful, the proggy stuff. I love the big, heavy, intense guitar and weird moments that you can have. Like, for example, like you're telling that Blackwater Park is like one of your favorite. My favorite is Ghost Reveries, because like you have this aspect that is just like, it's heavy, it's intense, but there's also calm but weird and gloomy sensation. I'm just like, oh shit, okay, this is very interesting. But to come back with Last Will, it's just like, for me, it's like a Watershed but reverse. It's like, instead of being brutal to go clean, they went clean to go a little bit more heavy again.
Well, I could see why you would say that. What I would tell you is you need to go back and you need to listen to that early 2000 stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what they did in those early 2000s records before they got to Watershed,
yeah,
they kind of did it a little bit on Cusp of Eternity.
Yeah,
but there's a way that there's a way that all those records sort of like come together, and the way that you can listen to them, and the way that it sort of hits you, that you don't get with the prog stuff.
Yeah.
But I get it with this record. And it's sort of, there's a specific moment that I can point to, and I believe it's the third song, where the first two, you're sort of like, it plays around, and then it does that classic, like, you get to the third song, and suddenly there's a guitar, and the thing fucking grabs you and pulls you in. And it's like that moment in time that you're like, oh shit, like, you weren't expecting it, and you don't know why, like, how it happened, and then as fast as it happens, it has already brought you into, like, you know, the rest of the album. And that's sort of like the thing that has always fascinated me when I listen to them, because I get that feeling every time. Ghost Reveries especially, you know, it just like Harlequin Forest being as long as it is, you can listen to the whole song, not trail off, because it's just constantly doing this. It's just grabbing you back in, you know, every little keynote, every little thing that fucking, it just can pull you right back. And so like, you don't get that with the prog stuff. The prog stuff is very much like, it's a full silhouette story drawn out for you, and you kind of just go with the flow. This record has a couple of those moments, small moments, mind you. They're not like, you know, those other records.
Yeah.
But they grab you. They grab you in. And it's not just with it's more just, it's not just the vocals. Like the vocals are the obvious thing, but it's the guitar play, it's the drum. It's like the little things that they did that they used to do a lot. I felt like they used to do a lot that just kind of like fucking holds on to you a little bit. Like Sorceress was a very telling record because at the time it was just so prog, but it did like weird things onto itself, cadences and things like that reminded me of this feeling, but wasn't exactly doing what it had done to me before. Does that make sense? It's sort of like playing on the emotion of it, but it didn't quite do it. The action.
It makes sense. And you know what? I'm gonna do an analysis, but in the style of Devin Townsend analysis. I'm gonna analyze the albums that we just talked about, based on what they felt at the moment of the writing. I don't know what they were living at the moment of the writing. I'm just gonna suppose things. For Sorceress, why that album is so good? It's just like they started the song Sorceress, something very proggy. It's very proggy. It's like very in the prog 70s. But then you have this. Dun, 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 bam, bam, bam,
that's what I'm talking about.
Bam. Like this is just like, okay. Like at the moment when I listened to that, I was like, oh, is it coming back? It's coming back. It's coming back, baby. Holy shit, it's coming back. And then
it gets heavy and then it draws.
Yeah, but no harsh vocals. But I was like, it's still heavy. It's like, you have this heavy. I'm just like, I just wanted to bang my head.
To me, that's not heavy. That's playful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can understand, but just
comparing itself to itself. I'm not saying it's like, it's heavy in comparison to prog.
Yeah.
But it's to Opeth, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
Opeth to Opeth for sure. It's not heavy. But for me, I'm just listening as a song, and I'm not thinking like the rest of Opeth. Like, I will compare it to the other prog album they released before, like the album The Pale Communion and Heritage. I'm gonna compare Sorceress to those because at the time that's what I did. I was like, oh, this is more heavy. Like I was like, okay, a drop A tuning. I was like, dun 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 dun. I was like, okay, this is good. And then Will-O-the-Wisp, the second single, I was like, okay, it's like very eerie. It's very like you want to dance under the sky. And you're just like, oh shit, like I like it. You want to dance in the flowers or whatever. It was great. Like I loved that song so much. At first I was like, oh yeah, it's too calm. But I was like, oh no, it's not that calm. It's interesting. It's very interesting. And funny enough,
I've always compared this. Opeth is what Bring Me the Horizon wanted to be. Does that make sense? Because it's exactly like, if you think about it, it's exactly what happened.
Now that you say it,
Opeth. So this is
so right.
I call it the Opeth effect because in a lot of ways, what they did when they turned that early 2008, 2010, when they really flipped to prog, like really embraced it, and their fan base just sort of like took it and was just like, all right, this is what we're doing now. Like, I think everyone at the time kind of looked at it and was like, well, fuck, Opeth could do it. Why the fuck can't we do it? Like, why can't we just switch up shit and do stuff like that? And then I think that a lot of bands fucking lost their identities because they didn't do it. They don't have the same. I hate to say it, but they don't have like the same like integrity in their music that these guys, that Opeth did. And so like it just fucking like they saw, I feel like they saw it and they were like, man, we could fucking do that too. And then they just fucking like they tried it and then they fucking crumbled. Like the biggest one for me is always, Bring Me the Horizon. They started out as a fucking deathcore band, went into metalcore, was really successful doing that, and then decided, all right, we're alt rock now. Fucking just kept, their evolution never stopped. They never kept the same integrity when they were making their songs and stuff like that. They just sort of like they just kept going. They went off the fucking deep end, and that's how they ultimately became what they became, and why they're now talking about taking a hiatus, because fucking they're burnt out.
Okay, so I'm gonna do another comparison before you cut me, because I was going to say something. Sorceress was an album that I listened to it with my mother, and my mother is not a metalhead person. Like, she likes some stuff like David Townsend for sure. She loves her voice, but I made her listen to Opeth, and I made her listen to Sorceress, and for sure the chuggy guitar, she was like, okay, I can dig it a little bit, and then the voice entered and she was like, oh, wow, I love it. And Will-O-the-Wisp, like, she liked that song a lot when she listened to that with me. But anyway, I'm gonna do another comparison, because your Bring Me the Horizon is interesting, but there's another band that we don't talk a lot, because I don't think they exist anymore. I'm not sure. Anathema. It's a British death doom band that decided to go like rock, prog rock, folky a little bit. They took a very different, well, not different, but something similar to Anathema. I'm gonna put it in the chat, because like if I spell it, you will be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh.
Anathema. It's like, I've listened to a couple of songs of them from each album, and like the change they did from the big Death Doom era, very like slow and very heavy and very brutal in a way, but very like gloomy. So I think it's a band that you would like that album. You would like those albums, like very doomy, but they did a switch, and not like very like cut and be like, oh, we changed to go here. No, they did it very progressively, and now, well, the last few albums, it's more calm. It's very like relaxed, and they never came back to their roots. They just decided to go straight forward in what they wanted to do.
I'm very much in the belief that what makes metal so unique is that a lot of people only have that feeling for so long, and that eventually you grow up, or something happens in your life and you move away from it. I believe that, and I think that think that a lot happens to a lot of artists, happens to a lot of fans and stuff like that. But I think that that's part of it. But it's a good example. But but what it is it's another example of a band that changed their sound and ultimately changed their identity in a way, but lost that original what made them them. They're I guess they didn't keep their identity. They lost what made them them. So, and then had lost that integrity.
I hate
I hate using that word, but
I have no other way
to say it.
I don't like you using that word. I think they didn't
Well, I
love their identity.
I will say
they
this:
change.
Bring Me the Horizon did lose their integrity because those fucking guys absolutely just sold. In my opinion, that it was pretty much a sell-off. Like, there's no
In
way
that
that
case,
there's no
I'm
way
not
they
sure
they
either.
really fucking looked at their shit and was like, yeah, this is our best effort. Like,
In that case, I'm not sure either. But I don't know. To be fair, I cannot talk about Bring Me the Horizon too much. I don't listen to them too much. I've listened to Amo, which is like the weirdest album of them, and I was like, this is interesting, but I can't understand why people didn't like that album. It was too different. And I can't understand why you say this, they lose their integrity. I don't think they did. I think they just changed because they wanted to change. And it's like, I'm going to take the Devin Townsend opinion. If you don't feel like doing it like you want, like if you don't want to do like fans want, but you want to do like what you want to do. If you don't feel like doing a heavy album, you want to do a calm album, but still want it to be your identity, well, you can. Some people miss it. Some people cannot do it right. Some people do.
Hold on. This is going to be all right. One, I agree with you. Two, think of yourself when you say Devin Townsend. I want you to really think about this. I'm serious. I don't come at you about Devin Townsend a lot, but on this, I'm going to. Devin Townsend in himself is a brand and is himself. When people think of Strapping Young Lad, do they think of Strapping Young Lad? No, Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend in this band. Devin Townsend here. Devin Townsend here. Devin Townsend has an identity onto himself. Which means that Devin Townsend has that authority and autonomy to basically do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And because people are fans of Devin Townsend.
For sure.
Now, if you're a fan of a band composed of a lot of people, and the band has been one thing for so long, you don't really get the same autonomy to turn around, make something completely different, and then turn to the fans and say, you guys don't get it. You can make a different band, and you can do a different sound. Guys do it all the time. In this band, they're a doom band, but in this band, they're death metal. We talk about it all the time with single artists who do their own things on their own side, because one-time artists have now become, it's a bigger thing because it's easier to do. So they do it a lot. So, no, you can't say that. You can't say that because... So they do kind of lose a little bit of that integrity. Devin Townsend's... it's an entirely different conversation. Yeah. You talk about a band, it's a different autonomy there. So it is a lot harder to say if you're a band to turn around and completely switch up your act. But do it in a way that doesn't exactly represent what you guys were doing. In all honesty, to go from deathcore to metalcore, not a big deal. To go from metalcore to fucking alt rock, that's a pretty decent gap, man.
Yeah.
And they didn't exactly lead into that shit.
Yeah.
And there are bands that do it. Opeth kind of fucking played around with it until ultimately they came to that junction and then they went in a different direction. But the way that they did it is they didn't just jump into the fucking deep end. They sort of brought it along, and then it came to a point on one certain junction. You say Watershed, that's probably a good point. That's probably exactly where it happened. And then from that point, they had already done it, and then they said, hey, this is what we got, and then they just kept doing it. And so that's walking it in. But yeah, you can't. I disagree with the idea that bands have that autonomy. I don't think that they do. I think that it happens a lot too now because the guys leave or they start their own thing, side project stuff here and there. You know, like I mean,
yeah.
there's a dozen of examples as far as like guys that are just out there. You know, they'll just do their own side projects or whatever it may be, but they'll still be a part of like the big death metal band. You know what I mean? Tomb Mold, for example.
Yeah.
Fucking those guys bounce around all over the place. You know.
Thanks for the slap in the face because I
don't want to slap you in the face. I feel very strong. I feel very strongly about this because Devin Townsend in himself is so unique and talented.
No, for sure.
He's done something you can't do. You know.
When I said it's a slap in the face, it's just like I understand your opinion, and I understand that maybe it was you stretched what I just said, so I'm sorry. What I will say though is I understand that they lost their integrity, and a lot of band did when they wanted to change.
I will say I feel bad using that word. I just don't know a better word to say.
I think that the problem with Bring Me the Horizon is that they did it very, like I said, they cut it. They were like, they released Sempiternal and like that's the spirit, I think. And they were going on a way different than before. They were like doing more metalcore, less than deathcore than before. But it's with Ammo, it's cut. And that's where it didn't pass for the fans of Bring Me the Horizon. It's just cut too much. I think that if they wanted to do something different, they should have bring it progressively. And I'm not talking about prog. I'm talking about if you do metalcore like this, keep it, but put more songs with a new style. Just bring something new with one song and another song, and then you release an album and you're like, oh, okay, on that album the single would be different than the other one, and you let the fans know what is your plan for the next album, and you don't just like tell them, oh, it's us now, go fuck yourself. I think that's what they did on Ammo, and that's what the problem was. That I'm gonna do another thing, another comparison, and no Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend is on the side. He's here. He's drinking coffee and pissing on his pissing cup. Anyway, what I will do, Suicide Silence.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
They lost their integrity on that self-titled album.
Oh my God, yeah.
And they lost it even more when they came back in that style. When they came back in their old deathcore, they lost it even more because they were like, oh, fans are not happy. Okay, we'll come back. I'm just like, why? You should have, you started something, just continue at that point. Just continue, and you will lose fans. You will maybe get more fans, but just continue at that point. Or just bring back older elements, but don't come back to what you did before. You already shit. Just keep the shit in. Just keep the shit out.
There's so many examples of differences in bands' discographies or records that they did something different, and maybe they took a chance and it didn't fucking hit, or maybe they completely changed their identity and they thought that was, and you know what, like, yeah, whatever, that's what you want to do. It's your fucking band. You make the record you want to make. I just have a hard time when they try to twist themselves into a fucking pretzel explaining why it's still the same thing. And it's it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You completely did something else. Like, the thing with, like, I bring up, like, Bring Me the Horizon, because it's like, you could look at all those, Asking Alexandria, you could look at Bullet for My Valentine, you could look at all those fucking early metalcore bands. basically what they did is they didn't fall in love with whatever they were doing musically. They fell in love with the identity, the personality.
Yeah.
You know, like Motley Crue back in the day. You know, like it wasn't about fucking the music. It was about what they brought, like the antics, like, you know, like when Ollie is fucking giving Coldplay the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's what everybody was falling in love with. And so they sort of were like, well, fuck, we can do whatever we want. And then I think it burned out badly on the back end, but everybody being like, that fucking sucked. That album sucked. Everybody was like, and then they're like, well, fuck you guys. You guys don't know nothing. And then it's like, well, no, that's not how this works, sir. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
That's not how this works. And so that's a toughie. That's a toughie.
It's a big discussion that we have about music. I miss those discussion. It's fun.
It was Opeth really brought back them old feelings, you know, like, but that's where the original love of doom and stuff came from. It comes from the early Opeth stuff, you know, Deliverance and you know, albums like that, you know, where they're just drawing out the gloomy, eerie stuff that I've grown to love so much, you know.
By the way, I forgot my beer. Here's the beer. It's a La Fosse beer, Triple IPA. It's called the Sylvestre Spirit. Esprit Sylvestre in French. Sylvestre Spirit, I don't know if it's like the good translation, but I don't care at that point. It's just a beer.
I got a Gansett.
Ooh, Gansett.
Hi, neighbor.
All right. After 30 minutes of the podcast, now you're doing the beer. Ooh, look at this. And also,
damn,
the glass
that is a
back.
shitty pour.
Yeah, very shitty.
Oh,
but
no.
I don't care.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't care. Anyway.
Was there any record that popped out at you this year that you were like, wow, I can't believe I listened to that?
Like that disappointed? Or
it could have, but just gave you a feeling of like, what was that?
In the good way or the bad way?
It could be good or bad.
There is one that I'm very surprised that I liked it. Poppy, Negative Space. Poppy, how can I describe her? Because yeah, it's a her, or maybe a they. I don't know what is that gender identity. I don't know. Like, anyway, her. It's like a mix between modern metal and pop with weird vibes, like electronica techno, but not too techno. It's just like, it's weird. It's just a mix of genre. Like, I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? But also, she's doing like featuring on bands with bands like Bad Omens and Knock Loose. And I'm just like, okay, she's really like into everything. She just does whatever she wants. And just like, that album was weird. I was like, it sounds weird, but it sounds good. And I love weird stuff. So this one, if you like weird stuff, I think you liked it. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I liked her voice. I liked the instrumentation. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I was like, okay, this is good. Pretty good stuff. Like it. Other albums, I'm not sure. I've listened to a lot of things. I was like, okay, what am I listening to? But I did it anyway. I don't know. I just listen to what people send me. I'm just like, okay, this is good. This is less good. That was depends. What are yours?
Hold on. I am acquiring my. Fucking. Oh, jeez. I need to download the Pillar of Light album.
Ooh.
I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, I saw that on the chat that we have with the boys.
Yes, they were telling me that I was gonna like it, and it's another Doom record from Transcending Obscurities. Fun fact: my number 2 record of the year is already a Transcending Obscurities record.
Ooh.
Yep, and it is probably the best record they've put out in a long time.
Huh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
It's interesting.
A good one. It is a good one. Yeah, so there was a couple of times I feel like that I was sort of like interesting. Wormwood was one of them. The Child Choir.
Yeah.
Very interesting choice. definitely was a moment for me. Like, all right, this is what we're doing. I liked it. I liked the record. It made my top 10. I'll tell you that right now. It's not in the top 5, but it made number 8. It was definitely good, but it was so strange. Just so strange. A record that I heard that I necessarily didn't like. Well, I hate to say it, but there's so many. There's a lot that comes across my ways that I always look at sideways a little bit, depending. If I had to pick one, I was disappointed a little bit by Resin Tomb. That came out early January.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Here's one that's gonna hurt everyone's feelings. Noel. As spoken.
Noel.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I've listened to it.
Yeah, no, I was not super into it. I tried like hell, and I just couldn't. I don't know if it's the cadence or whatever, but I couldn't do it. But the biggest one for me was Vitriol. Because I really liked Vitriol, and I thought that their record this year was interesting, to say the least. But it wasn't like... I mean, I saw their guitarist left.
Yeah.
Do I think that is a coincidence? Probably not.
Yeah, I tried to listen to it, and I was like, it's good. I like it, but I didn't like the production. I felt it was a lot. It was too much even. And I love when it's too much sometimes, but with control. And this had no control. It was like big wall of sound all the time. I'm just like, it's fun to have a wall of sound, but you have to at least understand like the core element. If you don't understand the core element, why is there a big wall of sound? Unless it's just like a big noise wall, I can understand. But if it's supposed to be music that you're supposed to listen to it, then why I just don't want to listen to it.
Vitriol as a runner up to that, I had Exocrine, which is basically just Archspire's little brother.
Oh yeah, Exocrine, yeah.
I heard Maelstrom, and I literally I shut it off like the first fucking like the first couple songs. I was like, I shut it off, and I was like, I can't review this record.
I mean,
I felt bad, so I listened to the whole thing, and then I was kind of like, oh fuck, like that, I can't do this, and so. But then I tried listening to their just latest one. It came out this year. Jerry put it on his playlist.
Yeah.
And yep, still can't do it. Still can't do it, dude.
I mean,
some bands are just like that. You can't win them all. You can't win them all, right?
There's another album that I forgot, but I saw them live, and I was like, oh shit! But I forgot to listen to it like a lot. It's Egg Bomb by Benighted. By the way, they lost their drummer.
Yeah.
Kevin Paradis is now not in the band because he decided to go audition for Archfire and play for Neobli Viscaris, and now they're like, yeah, you don't want to be in our band anymore. Well, fuck you. Well, I know it's not like this, but it felt like this. When I read the article, I was like, it felt like you don't want to be in our band? Well, fuck you. That's what it felt. I don't know if it was like this, but funny enough, I met the bands. I met Benighted. I've talked to Kevin, the now ex-drummer of Benighted, and honestly, I'm happy that I saw them now with Kevin. Like before they decided to drop him off. I was just like, oh shit. I don't understand, and I don't think they will find another one like him. Like, I know he's not an original drummer, but he got his style. He got a signature. Kevin got a signature, and also he did the audition for Archfire, but it didn't work out for some reason. And I'm like, why? You should have brought him in. I understand he's French, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where he's going to be. I know he's doing session right now. Like, he's offering session work as a drummer, and he can do a lot of stuff. He doesn't do just metal, but he's a metal drummer. This guy got the chops, man. He's just fucking intense. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, my listening was tough this year. A band that did not make my top 5 that I was sure was going to. Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean.
Yup. That was a good album.
Number 6.
Ooh. What was my... You know what is my number 6? I don't remember my number 6, and now I remember because it's an album that was I love it, and I love the band so much. Every time they come in town, they come in Quebec, or if I can go in Montreal to see them, I go, and I'm just that album was great, but it wasn't enough for me to put them at number I did it at number 5 on my mid-year, but I had to put them down at 6. It's Cognitive Abhorrence. It was a fucking great album with some flaws, but it's personal. It's opinion, but it's a fucking great album. The band is just fucking tight on that album. AJ's drumming is just fucking insane. But yeah, I'm just that album at number 6, I was a little bit sad, but there's so much good album released. On my on my top 5, I have just 2 new album. That's 2 new album. That's it. The rest, you heard them from my mid-year top.
My top 5 has 3 new albums. 3.
Interesting.
Yep. And the top 2 are different. Yep.
I mean,
I lied. Pretty sure I had said that nobody was going to beat out my mid-year top 2, but they did. So
I'm excited to know what album you put. I'm very excited. In my case, you know what I did. So
yeah, I already know who number 1 is. You will never guess who my number 1 is. No one
I mean,
will.
you listen to so much.
so
You listen to
I
so
looked-
much band, dude.
I looked through Jerry's playlist.
Foul.
I even floated the band out there to see if anybody had listened to it yet, and they hadn't. So I was like, ooh. It's not very often that I find a band now that not one of the review crew hasn't at least dabbled in, you know, because we cover such a wide net. And like we listen to just fucking Ben and Jerry alone listen to everything that comes across the board. You know, so sometimes you can fucking it's crazy to find something that they haven't heard.
I'm sorry to say, you said Ben and Jerry, and I just thought of the ice cream.
Yeah, let's just call them that. Let's call them the Ice Cream Boys.
Ice Cream Boys.
The Ice Cream
Ben
Boys.
and Jerry. I
Ben
just
and Jerry,
want...
the Ice Cream Boys.
Oh my god, Ben and Jerry's the Ice Cream Boys. I love it. Oh my god. The beer is going in, boy. The beer is going in.
All right, well, that brings us up to this point.
What time
We must
is
now-
it? It's 57 minutes.
I think that's good enough.
That's enough. That's enough.
That's all we got.
Let's go to the shoutouts.
What, am I going first?
I can go first if you want to.
Yes.
Because I have one, and it's a very short one. It's very interesting. I met those guys on Sunday, last Sunday. I went to a show with our friend. It's Grayson Carpenter's band, which is one podcast colleague, and also a guy that we had on our podcast, and we went on this podcast too, Beans and Breakdowns. A couple of years ago that we did that
that was
podcast.
a while ago.
It was a while ago, and I went to see his band in Quebec City called Bruiserweight, and the band playing after them, it's called, I don't know how to pronounce it. I would pronounce it like this: Gigant Animal Fugs. Animal Tugs. I don't know how to pronounce it. Really, I will put it in the chat so you can see. What is that?
Oh,
That
what
band.
the fuck?
Giant Animal Tugs.
What the fuck is that?
It's hardcore mixed with slam, mixed with grindcore, mixed with all the fucking extreme metal under 5 minutes. Like, they released one EP. It's Crime Love Scene, I think. The name of the EP. Let me check it out. Oh my god. Gigant. This. Crime Scene Photo by Gigant Animal Fugs. Well, in that time, because I think they changed the name to Gigant Animal Fugs very recently, but like they released that EP maybe early 2024, they were called just Gigant. But there is another band called Gigant, so I think they changed. And anyway, it's a weird band. Well, weird. It's very intense. It's very brutal. It's very in your face. And it's under 6 minutes. When I say under 6 minutes, the show was under 6 minutes. Like, the band go in, they do 5 songs, 1 minute each, and they get out. That's what it was. I was like, interesting? Like, very interesting. I was like, oh shit. They just did it. They did a world record. So yeah, Giant Animal Fugs. Go listen to it. It's very interesting.
Mine is Guerra Como.
Oh yeah, that's
Another
that's
record that did not make my top 10.
It made my top 10.
Yeah.
I won't say where, but it
Sierra
made.
Coma, Season of Mist came out October. Listen, October was a fucking month, dude. Like, I think most of my albums came out in October. Like, that was a great month.
I think
which
mine
is funny because normally it's like August and May that are the best months.
This year was October.
But this year was October. So, but yes, Guerra, classic Guerra to this point. Great stuff. They brought still a lot more heaviness, and it's still great black metal. So, those guys are really changing it up over there. As far as the black metal scene, and they're from Portugal or Spain, right? Portugal?
Portugal.
Yeah. So, great stuff. You gotta listen to it. Coma. It's gonna be people's album of the year. It will be up there.
Oh, for sure.
Top 5, top 3, easy. Like, it's gonna be up there for people.
It was supposed to be mine for a long time. When I listened to the album, I was like, okay, this is fucking good. It was for a long time.
Very good
for
stuff.
a few weeks, but like for a few months, it was top 1. Then an album, then an album goes in, and another album goes in, and another album goes in. I'm just like, okay, I cannot put them at number even 5 because so much album came out. And not just album came out, but also the listening, because I was listening to more albums and not that album in particular, and that's why I had to put him a lower, but it's still in my top 10.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I hope this was riveting for you like it was riveting for us. It's always great to see us fight, so I'm sure that everyone found that to be entertaining.
A very musical episode, like I like them. I thought for a second we were still going to talk about my sleep apnea.
Nope, you have that problem solved, so it's no longer a cool topic.
Yeah, the problem is solved. I have my machine. I don't scream like Denji during my night.
We only beat that horse for about 14 episodes.
Anyway, it was fun.
All right. Well, this has been Whispers from the Void. I'm Evan.
And it was Phil, this for the Intimates. Thanks for tuning in, like always. And see you on the next one. Cheers. Yeah.
Bye.